I'm Morwenna Griffiths. I'm a professor of classroom learning at Edinburgh University, and I've been involved with the Philosophy of Education Society since 1983 or 4, I can't quite remember, an awfully long time. And during that time, I've been also involved, I was very deeply involved with the Society for Women in Philosophy, and it's become clear to me that the Philosophy of Education Society is increasingly a really good place for women to do philosophy. It wasn't like that back in 1983, 84, like any other philosophical organization. It was very much a place for the boys. But about 8 years ago, this society made a real investment in some seminars for women in philosophy, which weren't exclusively for women. They were open to men as well. But the point was that they were run by women, and because they were for women in philosophy, they attracted a lot of women. And we didn't discuss feminism. That wasn't the point at all, any more than it had been in the Society for Women in Philosophy. It was for a space where we could do philosophy and improve that philosophy and make networks and have the arguments. They weren't cozy. We didn't all agree with each other by any means. And out of that have come a number of special issues, and particularly one in Journal of Philosophy of Education in 2013 on the subject of relationships, which was one that I co-edited. But it was also edited it was edited by the group of women who had been discussing things. So the initial refereeing of the papers was done by everybody, and then particularly by a special group, and then double done in the usual refereed way of special issues in JOPE with external referees. So the way that it was done has made it a very cohesive issue on relationships, which is exactly right for an issue on relationships, but it's all women. But for me, actually, what's more telling about why it's a good place for women to do philosophy is that in a society, in all philosophical societies, but in this one as well, it's unusual to have a lot of women doing things. Now, the special issue that I've put together with Professor Bob Davis to celebrate the 50 years in which the Society has been running was taken from the best, and they knew that this was going to happen. We took the papers that were presented at the celebration conference, and they were really a sparkling group of papers. It was so hard to pare them down to just 10 papers, 11 papers, however many it ended up. And in fact, we didn't even include the keynotes because we were so keen to have the excellent papers, and we thought the keynotes can just get published somewhere else because it would have taken up a quarter of the journal. And our criteria were that we wanted to showcase the broad approach for philosophy of education, the many different kinds of philosophy that we can do, analytic and post-structuralist and whatever, material, and also that we wanted to include researchers from the beginning, very beginning, the middle, and the really established ends of their careers. So those were quite tight criteria, and gender really didn't enter into that. But hey presto, half of the contributions are by women, and one of them is very explicitly feminist in who she's drawing on, Irigaray. So that's all really, it really makes me very happy that it's become a comfortable place for women to do philosophy without having to go on and on about issues of feminism, but unless, of course, they want to. But I do want to say that there's still quite a long way to go. We really shouldn't be smug about it, because in education, there are far more women than men. If you look at school teachers, especially primary school teachers, but all school teachers, and other workers in education, there is a great majority of them are women, and always have been, in fact. But only about a third of the presenters at this conference are women. Now, that isn't, I think, due to the review process, where I've looked at the figures for the acceptances, and they're really close, 51% for women and 57% for men this year. And one year it was, I think, exactly even. So I think 40% of the people sending in papers were women. Well, given the imbalance of women and men, that's actually not such a high proportion. But it's good. So we've got a lot to celebrate and a lot to move towards. And I hope that the society continues to pay attention to gender and ways of not letting that slip and improving.